Hey guys, ECRG here, back with another episode. Today's episode is about why CRAs should fly most places and why companies will pay for CRAs to fly most places, even if there's a cheaper alternative. Now, before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know, for those of you who are interested in a resume review program, if you're interested in breaking into the clinical research industry and shortcutting all of the rejections, shortcutting your process to finally break in, you should have us at ECRG review your resume. And that's because what we're going to do is comb through your resume, give you applicable experience, translate that experience you have into applicable clinical research experience, and give you a bunch of tips and tricks to shortcut that process for you breaking into the industry. So if you're interested in that, email me eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. And we also do interview preparation to help you nail that interview when you finally get that opportunity. And we also do LinkedIn reviews also. So you can email me eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. So back to this. Why should CRAs fly most places? And this goes back to the whole time versus money debate. So as a CRA working for a CRO, the company's best use of your time is you being on site. The CRO is only going to get paid when you are working on site. And that's what they call billable hours. So if you know when you're working for a CRO, you have to do that timesheet. And you only want to be billable. That's a big deal. That's why you have to do that timesheet every single week, is because they want to make sure that your time is spent is being billable to the client and not the CRO. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you're working for a sponsor, once again, they want to make sure that you are on the road. Now, it's not as stringent, but they do keep track of your time allocation. But they want to make sure that your time is best spent not traveling in some car, not traveling in some train. They want to make sure that you're able to get to where you need to go as fast as possible so you can work and get done as fast as possible. So this is the whole time versus money debate. Now, if you're in a car, if you're driving, even if it's a 3-4 hour drive, but it only takes you 30 minutes to fly there, they may prefer you fly, even though it may cost more money. Now, why is that? Well, if you're driving, you can't work at the same time. Where if you're in the airport or you're flying, you can actually work, respond to emails, talk to help site to answer questions while you're doing the whole flying process. But if you're driving, you can't do any of that. There is no way you can work and drive at the same time. Now, bus or train, you can work at the same time, but it's going to take you all day to get to site. It's going to take you forever, in America at least. The train system's not great. So the train or bus system's not great. So it's going to take you forever. So you'll be able to work, but you will not be able to get to site on time or get there fast. Another thing you have to think about when you're a company is burnout. So if you're constantly on the bus or taking the train and it's taking you forever to get to site, taking you all day, you're going to get burnt out by that, wasting days of your time, literally days of your time. So even though it may be cheaper, it's definitely cheaper than taking a plane. They don't want you to get burnout. Whereas a plane, it may take you an hour, 2 hours to get to your destination. And then you're off. You're relaxing at your hotel. You're getting some food or whatever. Maybe hanging out with your parents or your coworkers or some friends you may have in the city. That's fine. They don't want you to get burnout. And that comes from spending as little time as possible doing the whole travel process. So that's something that they want to think about. And, actually a lot of companies release a policy saying if it's longer than a certain number of miles, you have to get approval to actually drive there. The preferred method of transport is flights. So this is not something you should be worried about as a CRA booking the flights. I mean, they have different amounts of money you should spend on flights or whatever. Some companies do, not all companies. I work for a sponsor. They do not have those stipulations, but they do have rules that you should book, a few weeks out in advance to try and get a better price. But don't forget, the reason why they don't have these rules is because, it's business travel, so it's a tax deduction for the company. But also, they don't want you stressing about, if you should take the bus, if you should drive or whatever, or you should fly. They don't want you stressing about that. But basically, at the end of the day, it saves you time, and it saves the company time and money in the long run if you are indeed flying as opposed to driving or taking the train or taking a bus to get to your destination. Not to mention you can work while you're flying because you're not the one flying the plane or whatever, but you cannot do that while you're driving. So driving is really a bad use of time in my estimation, and it could lead to burnout doing so much travel, doing all day travel and things of that nature. So I just want to discuss that with you guys. Hopefully that makes sense why a company would kind of recommend / mandate that you fly to some place where in that instance you could drive if it's 4 or 5 hours or something like that. Another thing to keep in mind is, sometimes the flying is not the easiest option to get to some place. Sometimes it is way faster driving. And in that instance, they're going to be perfectly fine with you getting a rental car and driving. Like, for example, there could be a place that's, 3 hours away driving, but 8 hours away flying, because the way these airlines work, you have to fly to the hub, and then maybe you have to fly to some other airport, and then fly to the place you're going. And while the individual flights may be, 30, 45 minutes each, when you accumulate all of that, it may be longer than flying, and having to wait, having to do layovers, and by the time you add it all up, it may be a lot longer than actually driving. So sometimes in those situations, it is more beneficial to just go ahead and drive, and that happens from time to time, without a doubt. And then obviously for like local visits in the same city, you're not going to be flying. I mean, that should go without saying. So in that sense, you'd probably drive or take an Uber or a Lyft or something of that nature. So I just wanted to discuss that with you guys. I'm sure people are curious about methods of transportation and how you book that and things of that nature. But just want to discuss that with you guys. So if you have any questions, email me eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com for any inquiries you may have. Take care.